What if I told you there's a hidden motivation switch located deep in the brain that can make hard work not just bearable, but something you actually crave? Science reveals this secret, showing how you can reprogram your mind to unlock a level of motivation that's more powerful than money, praise, or fame. One that practically forces your brain to crave doing the hard work you keep putting off. Get ready to discover the key to turning procrastination into productivity and transforming your toughest tasks into your greatest passions. Stick around. Your brain is about to change the way you work forever. The problem. Picture this. You set your alarm early, determined to seize the day with energy and purpose. But when it rings, you hit snooze repeatedly. Last night's enthusiasm has vanished, and the blanket feels like a concrete slab pinning you down. The day ahead feels like an enemy to avoid rather than a challenge to conquer. At your desk, the cursor blinks, and your to-do list stares back at you. You know you should start working, but something inside just won't cooperate. Lunchtime comes and goes, and you promise yourself you'll begin soon. But the afternoon finds you lost in distractions, chasing trivial tasks while the important ones loom large and untouched. As the day ends, the weight of what you didn't accomplish settles in. You put your head on the pillow, feeling the sting of disappointment, knowing you fell short of the potential you're capable of. One more day has slipped through your fingers. If you've experienced this depletion in drive, know this: you're not lazy. Procrastination isn't the problem, and there's nothing abnormal about you. The issue isn't just a lack of motivation. It's the absence of a specific type of motivation that we'll explore in a moment. Today, we'll uncover the science-backed solutions to create limitless motivation, even for the most difficult and laborious tasks. It starts with upgrading your motivational fuel source, transforming how you approach your day, and tapping into a wellspring of drive you've never imagined. The two types of motivation. There are two types of motivational fuel, and one vastly outperforms the other. The trouble is that most of us rely on the weaker of the two. Extrinsic motivation comes from outside sources like money, status, and praise. When fueled by extrinsic factors, you act for the sake of a reward. While effective, this type of motivation is short-lived. Our brains find anticipation more rewarding than attainment, as dopamine, which enhances focus and motivation, surges when we anticipate something and plummets once it's achieved. Think of extrinsic rewards like fossil fuels. They provide a temporary boost, but eventually run out. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from within. It is fueled by curiosity, purpose, and mastery. With intrinsic motivation, you act for the joy of the activity itself, not for an external reward. It's like listening to a song for the joy of the music, rather than to reach the end. Intrinsic motivation is akin to fusion energy, a self-sustaining, long-lasting, and incredibly efficient force. It outperforms extrinsic motivation by making hard work easier, leading to an upward spiral of skill development and access to flow states, where we become deeply immersed in our work. Extrinsic motivation can get you started, but it's intrinsic motivation that keeps you going. Consider a rocket. It needs a booster to launch, but once it reaches escape velocity, it can cruise on its main engines. To upgrade your motivational fuel, focus on 5 intrinsic motivators: curiosity, mastery, audacity, purpose, and autonomy. I'll show you how to dial up each of these for unstoppable motivation. The power of intrinsic motivation. So why are these intrinsic motivators so incredibly powerful and vital for our drive? The secret lies in the way they trigger the release of performance-enhancing neurochemicals like norepinephrine, dopamine, and acetylcholine. These chemicals not only sharpen focus but also lower cognitive load, creating the perfect conditions for achieving flow state, that optimal state of consciousness where we feel and perform at our best. When you're in flow, your brain is bathed in a cascade of neurochemicals, including endorphins, serotonin, anandamide, and even oxytocin during group flow states. These chemicals flood your brain, amplifying creativity and productivity while enhancing your sense of well-being. It's like unlocking a supercharged version of yourself, where challenges become exhilarating rather than exhausting, and the line between work and play blurs. Understanding and harnessing the power of intrinsic motivation can transform your approach to tasks, leading to profound improvements in both personal fulfillment and performance. How to hack your brain. Intrinsic motivators are incredibly potent because they don't just push you into a flow state, they create a cycle where flow enhances your intrinsic motivation, and that motivation, in turn, leads to more flow. This virtuous cycle becomes a self-perpetuating engine of motivation. Once you're caught in this powerful loop, where intrinsic motivation fuels flow, and flow enhances intrinsic motivation, you become incredibly driven. This is the secret behind the sustained motivation of industry titans like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, who can maintain extreme motivation for decades. It's not just limited to business leaders, though. Albert Einstein's lifelong curiosity led to groundbreaking discoveries like the theory of relativity, and Marie Curie's passion and purpose drove her to pioneer research in radioactivity, earning her 2 Nobel Prizes. Vincent van Gogh's love for his art resulted in iconic and celebrated masterpieces, while athletes like Michael Jordan and Serena Williams were propelled by mastery and autonomy, achieving 6 NBA championships and 23 Grand Slam titles, respectively. What do all these peak performers have in common? Their intrinsic motivators are consistently locked in and maxed out, creating a cycle of motivation that builds upon itself over time. By understanding and enhancing your intrinsic motivators, you can tap into this cycle and unlock an unstoppable source of motivation. Now, let's dive into each of these 5 intrinsic motivators and explore how you can amplify them in your own professional life, achieving a level of motivation that propels you forward. First up is curiosity, the natural impulse to explore and learn. We've all experienced moments when we're supposed to focus on something else, but our minds keep wandering to that one fascinating topic. Wherever your mind drifts, it's a compass pointing towards your curiosity. Curiosity isn't just a desire to know, it's an irresistible need to explore and understand. In fact, as Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the godfather of flow, once said, the flow concept itself was developed out of sheer curiosity, a quest to solve an intriguing puzzle about human behavior. From a neurological standpoint, curiosity activates the brain's reward system, releasing dopamine, which increases attention and makes learning pleasurable. Next, we have mastery, the drive to continually improve and excel in what you do. If you've ever been passionate about a sport, you've likely experienced the thrill of wanting to be better today than yesterday. That's mastery at work. You don't just want to succeed, you want to understand how to do it better. Mastery involves skill acquisition and releases dopamine and endorphins, creating a feedback loop that enhances focus and fuels a desire for greater challenges. This upward spiral of growth and engagement is a hallmark of flow, the pinnacle of intrinsic motivation. The third intrinsic motivator is autotelicity, which is about loving what you do for its own sake. It's that feeling of staying late at work not because you have to, but because you want to. With autotelicity, the line between work and play blurs, and activities become rewarding in themselves. This concept is at the heart of flow, where you're so immersed in the task that it feels like the most important thing in the world. Purpose is the fourth intrinsic motivator, taking autotelicity and applying it to a greater cause beyond yourself. It's the belief that your work contributes to something meaningful, something that matters. Without purpose, even a job you're passionate about can feel unfulfilling. But with purpose, your work becomes a mission, not just a paycheck. Purpose ramps up levels of oxytocin and serotonin, key players in social bonding, mood stability, and long-term well-being. Finally, we have autonomy, the sense of ownership and control over your work. It's that feeling of freedom when you're tackling a project your way, without micromanagement. Autonomy gives you the agency to pursue your curiosities, engage in autotelic activities, and fulfill your purpose. Our brains are wired to thrive when we have a say in our actions. Now, let's explore how to maximize each of these intrinsic motivators and harness their power. Start by identifying your intrinsic motivators and assessing where you currently stand with each one in your work. Consider how these 5 motivators are built into your professional life and to what extent. Let's take each motivator one at a time, starting with curiosity. Curiosity. Think back over the last month. How often did you find yourself diving into content about your work during your personal time? If your curiosity motivator feels low or could use a boost, there are 2 key elements you need to focus on. First, leverage from learning. When the knowledge you gain directly enhances your work, it creates a positive cycle. You learn something new, apply it, and see real, positive changes in your performance or outcomes. Second, immediate feedback from learning, which acts as a flow trigger. This involves witnessing the direct impact of your new knowledge in action, ideally as soon as possible. To elevate your curiosity motivator, there must be a clear connection between learning something and witnessing meaningful change in your work. If that's not happening now, consider modifying aspects of your work so that the investment in learning leads to maximum immediate feedback and positive impact. Next up, let's explore how you can cultivate mastery. Mastery. Reflect on the past month. To what extent did you feel a burning desire to improve the skills essential for your work? And how much will mastering these skills impact your success? To amplify your drive for mastery, start by identifying all the skills and sub-skills that will propel you towards your long-term goals. Once identified, Commit to learning and practicing these skills with deliberate intention. Imagine yourself as a professional athlete or musician. Practice at the edge of your comfort zone, continuously correcting mistakes until new behaviors become ingrained on a neurophysiological level. If you find that there's no room for improvement in the skills related to your current job, it might be time to consider a career shift. Look for a field that offers limitless possibilities for mastery, where the journey of continuous improvement is deeply embedded in the work itself. Next, let's explore how to harness the power of autotelic experiences to fuel your drive. Autotelicity. In the past 30 days, how often did you find yourself diving into your core work activities simply because you wanted to, without the pressure of deadlines, meetings, or formal work hours? How often have you craved these activities when you weren't engaged in them? Here's a counterintuitive but effective way to boost autotelicity. Don't just focus on what you like to do for its own sake. Instead, ask yourself, what am I naturally good at? You're likely much better at some things than others, thanks to your innate strengths. These strengths make certain tasks feel less like work and more like play. Building a career around your strengths is often more sustainable than focusing solely on activities you love. For example, while you might enjoy playing video games, turning that into a viable career could be challenging. The key is to trust that by focusing on your strengths, you will develop autotelicity over time. Research shows that working within your strengths can trigger a state of flow. The more time you spend in an activity while in flow, the more you'll come to love that activity. Now, let's explore how to harness the power of purpose to drive your intrinsic motivation further. Purpose. First, do a gut check. Ask yourself if the organization you work for or the work you do has a clear purpose attached to it. Is it a purpose you can support and feel enthusiastic about dedicating your energy to? If so, that's a strong starting point. If not, and if your role or company doesn't align with your values or hold any meaning for you, it might be time to consider a career change. However, if you can find even a small sense of purpose in your current job, here's how to amplify it. Research in positive psychology indicates that having a well-defined purpose and a clear connection between that purpose and your work increases both motivation and job satisfaction. Begin by condensing your life's mission into a single, focused sentence, such as promote sustainable development for a healthier planet. Then, each day, link your work tasks to this purpose. Finally, consider the importance of autonomy in your role. Autonomy. Over the past 30 days, consider how much control you've had over the how, what, why, and when of your work. Were you able to choose between projects, decide when to start your day, or work independently without being micromanaged? Increasing autonomy can be approached in two ways: perceptually and literally. First, zoom out and reframe your current job within the broader context of your life trajectory. Even a low autonomy role can feel more autonomous if it's a stepping stone toward a future you are actively designing. For example, if you're a junior sales rep, focus on the skills you're gaining to eventually start your own business. This mindset shift boosts your sense of autonomy by integrating your current work into your long-term goals. Another way to enhance autonomy is by developing what we call FU autonomy. Similar to having FU money, this concept involves building a robust skill set, network, and knowledge base, giving you the freedom to pursue other options at any time. This sense of choice can alleviate the frustration of a low autonomy job because you know you have the power to move on when you choose. Interestingly, you don't need complete autonomy over every aspect of your work. Focus on the parts of your job you can control and own them fully. Outside of work, dedicate time to activities where you have full autonomy. This balance is often enough to satisfy the need for control. Start by identifying which intrinsic motivator is currently lowest and work on boosting it. Improving one can provide the energy to enhance the others. Aim to increase each intrinsic motivator by 5 points per year, reaching a balance where your motivation is consistently high. As you shift your motivation from extrinsic to intrinsic, you'll find it easier to maintain motivation even through life's challenges. When your intrinsic motivators are aligned, engaging with work becomes effortless and enjoyable. Over time, you'll be able to tune into these motivators as naturally as you feel your own heartbeat, allowing for quick course corrections. This transformation leads to a state where working hard feels as effortless as playing a video game, driven by intrinsic satisfaction rather than external rewards. Elevating your intrinsic motivation makes you less dependent on external validation and more resilient to life's ups and downs. You'll pursue mastery over money, purpose over position, audacity over applause, curiosity over conformity, and autonomy over approval. As you refine this internal drive, you'll access flow states more frequently, working with a passion and ease that transforms challenges into engaging, rewarding experiences. If you want to level up in life, check out this video here.